The fact is, the market, guys, could still go a lot lower. In this video, we're going to tell you what could possibly make that move happen and also what could make the market go back to the upside. Here's what's coming up, guys. We're going to touch on some macro issues. Have they, in fact, been resolved? We started this move down because of significant macro issues. Have they been resolved? Important levels on a higher time frame are, in fact, holding in this market. And yeah, it's been 6.4% for the market, all-time highs to where we bounced at the end of the week. Is that, in fact, enough? Here's some ugly headlines from this week. In fact, the Dow Jones getting off the lows on Monday, but the sell-off did continue through to Tuesday, talking about higher inflation rates and what does that mean going forward. And then we ended off the week on a much better picture here with a 475-point bounce for the Dow. Here's the U.S. 10-year, guys, right back to where we started the week at the highs, 1.56 after dipping down to 1.47. So have the macro issues been resolved? I don't think so at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it does remain to be seen. Like we haven't had the taper. You've got supply chain constraints that are still a rather large problem and a big headwind that we have to deal with here. And that's going to be the reality, I think, at this particular point. Now, does this mean it's necessarily doom and gloom? I'll give you a potential reason why it might not be until key levels break, as you mentioned, point 2 there, Brendan. So if you go back into May when we were having some of the same concerns about the 10-year and things rising, this is on the SPY. You could look at the ES if you wanted to as well for the futures, but you look at this 422 to 423 level when the pullback started, and that's the deepest pullback that we've had here on the daily chart. So you look at that level, it was a bit of a resistance point. We eventually broke out. We had a pullback that turned into support at that same 422, 423 area. In the midst of this drop, this entire pullback, it's been a deep one, sure, past that 5% mark, as you said. That level has managed to hold on the dip, and you can see this is the key level that we're bouncing in front of. So, as long as we're holding above there on the SPY, you really don't have that over-the-top trend break. You got the 200 period's not even close necessarily. There's probably room down to that level. Were we to break that 25, you're probably headed almost straight to that 200 period moving average. So while we have not resolved those macro issues, they're all still in place. How quickly the tapering could possibly come, supply chain concerns, all those things are still there. We've held this key level. When that breaks, I think you've got a bigger cause for concern.
Yeah, I have a weekly chart up here, and I think that, what started some of this fall down, right? We have Evergrande in China. That doesn't look like that's going to be anything. That may not scale back down over here. I am worried, of course, about interest rates and things like that. So if the Fed comes out and, starts to, like Neil mentioned, taper, or we start to see an interest rate, even just a slight bump, this market is going to be in big time trouble. But if you look at a weekly chart here, is the pullback anything major? I mean, you asked about that 6.4%, Brendo. I mean, you're all the way down here. I mean, that's nothing. I mean, this is a weekly chart. Look at the ES, man. It's been blowing up here. Obviously, this goes back to 2017. You get the pandemic spike down there. But this is just blips in the radar. We could test the 50 period. I know we always look at that on the show. So the 50 period is down to 4,100. That's where I've made the call on the daily chart. And on the daily chart, the 50 period is actually, the 200 period is at that 4,100. So, we can retest back down here. It looks like there's been a little bit of a swoon back down, but just from technically, I think you could test this 4,100. If we do that, then it's a monster buy. I like it right now. We're coming back up above the 50 period. So was that the major sell-off that we thought? No. Was it a good buying opportunity? Yes. But I do think that there is more potential to the downside here.
Yeah, and time will tell, obviously, whether or not we get any more of a flush, any more of a move to the downside. As we said, some significant issues remain over the market, but ending off the week, guys, on a definite positive note. Here is Miss V.
Hey guys, thank you for sharing this information on sell-off. Dear viewers, please subscribe to this channel to see more great videos.